welcome back to another episode of the Domestic Boyfriends podcast. My name is Dean, and always with me is my co-host, Vincent.
Hello.
This beautiful man and me are going to be talking about a movie that it's kind of old. I mean, a little old. Came out this year. Came out before the movie we last talked about. But we're going to be talking about... Vincent, what are we going to be talking about?
Thunderbolts.
The Lightning Guys, yes.
The Lightning Guys.
Yes, Thunderbolts asterisk, which, you know, that. Thunderbolts was a movie. It was a fun movie. Do you think it was fun?
I really liked it.
You really liked it? Let's do a non-spoiler, and then we'll go into spoilers, and we'll talk about some stuff we liked and we didn't like. Overall, what was the movie about, Vincent?
Well, it was about a bunch of different mercenaries hired to go finish a final mission, where they ended up figuring out that there was some tricksy stuff involved, and they ended up having to work together to defeat someone that they did not expect they had to do.
Great synopsis.
There's lots of twists and turns, and Marvel everywhere.
Great synopsis.
They marveled all over the place.
Did you know every single person who was in this movie?
Almost.
Almost? Who did you not know?
Anya.
So who did...
Anya?
So you didn't know
No.
Ghost?
No. Yes, that one.
You didn't know
Her.
Ghost because you didn't watch Ant-Man... What was it, Ant-Man 2? Yeah, Ant-Man 2.
Oh, wait, that's her.
Yes.
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 I knew everyone.
Okay.
I knew everyone then.
Everybody?
I tried to shove Ant-Man 2 out of my head.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Wait, Ant-Man 2? That's Ant-Man... No, Ant-Man...
Yeah, it was
Ant-Man
Ant-Man
was the third?
Yeah.
Oh, that
was
was...
the second movie.
Yeah. See,
Third one-
I shoved it so far out of my head that I couldn't even remember if it was Ant-Man 2 or not.
The third one had... what's his name?
Oh, it was... Wait, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is the third one.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I liked Ant-Man 2.
Yeah, it had... What's his name in it? What's his name?
It's just been a very long time since I watched it.
Guy from Jurassic Park.
Dr. Ian Malcolm?
Yeah. No? Yeah.
No, that's Thor. Or not Thor, but...
that is Thor. That is Thor. Yeah. Oops. I got everything mixed up. Who the fuck was what's... I don't remember. Anyway. Yeah, it was a fun movie. A mismatch of people together. And they fight the good fight, even though they're all depressed. Randall Park. There we go. Oh, man. They fight the good fight even though they are depressed. All of them are depressed. That's a big part of the movie. All of them have undiagnosed depression. Although one of them does go to a therapist, I think. So, if you would rewatch this movie, how many times would you rewatch it?
Like 2, maybe 3 times.
Okay. I'd rewatch this maybe one more time. I did find it enjoyable.
It was a very fun movie.
It definitely was. I don't think I expected anything from this movie. And I enjoyed it, besides what we saw from the trailers. So, in the last movie that I had zero expectations on was Endgame. So, I'm not saying it's Endgame level. I'm just saying, like, for most of these, I've had a certain expectation. When it came to Thunderbolts, I was like, I don't think I should think about this one too much. Particularly because Thunderbolts is generally a different type of team in the comics. Like, usually Thunderbolts is a squad that is normally like brought together by Baron Zemo, which is someone that people predicted was going to be in this movie. who didn't show up. Um, so, and of course, the name of it is sometimes mostly named after Thaddeus T. Thunderbolt Ross, because Thunderbolt and Thunderbolts.
Hmm.
But obviously, if you were to watch this in order, the last time we saw Thunderbolt Ross, he was a big red guy. He
Yeah.
was Anger from Inside Out. So,
Oh.
yeah, that was a good one. Um, so the name of it is. Is this a spoiler? Is the name of it a spoiler? Like what it's named after? Is that a spoiler? Is that a major spoiler? What do you think that's?
What, Thunderbolts?
No, like what it's named after.
Oh. I don't know.
I don't know.
Would it be?
We'll leave it. We'll leave it for the spoiler side. But good movie, pretty cool. But into the spoiler bits, just so we can talk about everything. How did you feel? How did you feel about the depression? How did you feel about the take that they went on this movie?
I really liked it. I as much as like it's become a common complaint that people have had about like how like Marvel, especially for like the movies and whatnot, have been like writing their characters and like villains even, where it's not just I am a force for good and or evil, but there's always like a lot of the time there people have been saying that like there's sort of like forced relatability put into these characters,
Yeah.
which albeit has like kind of always been the case for like Marvel characters versus like DC characters, where there's like usually some kind of like flawed bit to every single one of them, and that's like the human element.
Yeah.
Um,
Besides just being a person, sometimes.
Sometimes it can feel a bit forced, and I don't disagree with people's complaints about that because a lot of the time I can't necessarily like name anything off the top. Maybe Darren,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
but God, I'm such a dick. Like it's just let Modoc be Modoc, dude.
Yeah. He didn't
But
really
like
have to
in
become Modoc. Yeah. But go on.
exactly like or either that or like let him become Modoc, but let him actually be like Modoc. Don't just like
He's he's
it, it's
he's,
what a,
he's
I'm
Yellow
so
Jacket, but
sad.
he's shrunk.
I can't wait for them to reset everything so we can potentially have a good Modoc.
Proper
It's
Modoc.
such a waste of a character. But anyway, we're talking about Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
In this movie, it was really, really well written how, everyone has skeletons in their closet. Everyone has, like, darker feelings that a lot of the time we are taught to just, like, push down, hide away, deal with your own stuff, don't bring other people into it. You have to deal with yourself alone. And resolving those feelings the way that they did in this movie too, like it was just really, really well done.
Yeah.
In a way that like I feel a lot of things that try to do this miss the mark.
Yeah, at first, I'll be truly honest, I didn't know how much they were going to get into it after the initial scene with Yelena and having the monologue happen. Because obviously, all of these guys are like down on their luck. Like Yelena lost her sister, actually depressed, tries to take it out on Clint in the Hawkeye show, and isn't successful because she figures out that it was all like her sister's decision. Hawkeye didn't kill her. You got John Walker, like the most depressed guy, lost his friend, tried to be Captain America and was denied by everybody, and did some crazy things in the meantime, right? And then started working for Valentino. Both of them work for Valentino. Ghost, you can watch Ant-Man 2 to see why Ghost has trauma.
This is a lot of drama.
Yeah, and then Taskmaster, you can watch Black Widow, I guess, if you want to learn about that, but she has lots of trauma as well. Uh, and then you got, I think this is the last one. Uh, the last one besides Bucky. You can watch the MCU to just figure out Bucky's trauma. But then the last one is Alexei, the Red Guardian, who you can also watch Black Widow to find out why he's depressed. But all of these super soldiers are all like they all have baggage, they all have trauma, and they were able to relate this down to a city level. I think it's very hard for this is like the Superman problem sometimes is people find it very hard to relate to like certain heroes because of the extraordinary that they present themselves, and sometimes they have to relate them in sometimes throat like down your throat type of ways. Like some people don't understand the relatability of Superman, right? And that could be like a number of things where it's just like, well, he's an alien, but he's like a white guy who was born in the South, and like for some people that's not relatable, and he can like his struggles are the fact that he's balancing between Superman and his news reporting job and having a relationship with Lois Lane, right? Some people don't find that relatable, especially when the other half of his life is him just being Superman, like nearly an omnipotent being, right? But they bring that home, as we saw when we talked about Superman, um, that there's a lot of the character that is built in the fact that he is like raised as a human. He has sympathy, empathy, and he has seen the struggle, and he uh, tries to use that part of his humanity that he gained by being raised on Earth as the thing that tethers him to being a proper being that isn't detached from humanity despite all of his godliness, right?
Yeah.
So, um, we look at all of these characters, and they're not the billionaire playboy philanthropist. They're not the god of thunder. They're not. Well, some of them are the super soldier, but they're not the super soldier that punched Hitler, beat the Red Skull, and saved World War II, right?
Yeah.
So, and even like some of the other ones, like they're not aliens. They're experiments gone wrong. They're people that are expendable. So when we look at this cast, this motley crew of people who are mostly super soldiers, like half of the roster are super soldiers, and then we have people that are used as like super assassins. So when we look at them, I feel like we're missing somebody. Are we missing somebody? Thunderbolts.
Taskmaster?
No, I said Taskmaster. Taskmaster
Yeah.
died, so I really didn't like
Yeah, that's true.
think too much about it.
What? The members?
No,
Is
no. That's it. That's everybody. Um, so when we look at this crew and we really delve deep into them being human, it's way more relatable, right? It's way more relatable than the God of Thunder that lost half of his planet, because we're not we're not as guardians. We're not beings of divine entity, right? So I do enjoy how much this felt street level. Um, I think that within all of this, like MCU stuff, we haven't had the opportunity to enjoy something street level since Daredevil, in my opinion. Uh, because some things just always have this overarching mysticism. You watched Shang-Chi, right? Did we talk about Shang-Chi?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, but you and I have definitely talked about it.
Okay. So, like,
Because you and I love that movie.
yeah, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's an amazing movie. And it's ground level, right? But there's
Yeah.
something, it's ground level to an extent, and then they bring in crazy mysticism that kind of shoots it up into that higher MCU multiverse atmosphere, right? Introducing the different realms, and at the end we see that the 10 rings are connected to something in the universe. So when we get when we get the Thunderbolts, I can't not deny the fact that it is so good because of how basic it is. goes over
Hmm.
trauma. We have people that are relatable, and despite the fact that they're super soldiers, like they're not they're not the people. They're the people that stay on Earth in case Thanos wins, right? Like in the
Yeah.
original Infinity War, like they're the people that get stuck behind because they're not at that level that everybody else is. So, um, yeah, I find it super enjoyable from that end. Um, and I looking at it all. Oh, Bob, Bob is
Oh,
depressed. Bob is also depressed. Um,
Bob's. Yeah.
Bob is also depressed. How did you
Poor
think
Bob.
they did? How did you? Do you know a lot about the Century?
Um, Not a lot. I've interacted with him like a bit here and there, while reading like I've never read like a century focused comic. He has popped up every now and again, and I'm like, all right, we have weird looking Booster Gold here, because
Mr.
like they
Gold
don't
with
really like
muscles and a cape.
a lot of the time, like when he like pops up in something that like hasn't been like focused on him, like he's just Superman.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of the time in the background, he's just punching things and flying. I'm like, all right,
very
he's
true.
fucking old Superman.
S-
Um,
so I'll give you a quick rundown of the Century. So the Century is a guy named Bob Robert Reynolds, right? And Bob is an addict. He's a drug addict. Bob had
yeah,
a wife. He was a drug addict. Everything went to whack, right? He breaks into some government test facility, and then he takes a vial of liquid, thinking that it's going to get him high, right? And that vial of liquid was an experimental super soldier drug, right? It was based off of whatever Ernskin left behind, and was supposed to make something that was greater than Captain America, right? It is quoted that the Sentry has the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. I think Sentry exploding suns. I don't want to get the number wrong. The power of 1,000,000 exploding suns. I got it right. So that's an exaggeration, of course, but that's like to compare the potency to Captain America's formula, right? Well, with him taking it, it kind of did a very similar thing that Khonshu kind of did to Mark Spector. We're bringing Moon Knight into this. Is that Mark's DID was like intensely worsened when Khonshu used him as his avatar. Um, this, along with the fact that he was a drug addict and he had a lot of other mental problems beforehand, giving him superpowers, his split his psyche. Also, the Sentry. People say that he's bipolar, but I actually think that he's another superhero that has a case of DID. I could be wrong, so correct me if you want. But uh, the Sentry, it's himself, uh, not Bob, but the actual golden hero, the Sentry, um, is very Superman like. He has telekinesis, he's super fast, super strong, pretty much invincible, but it depends on who he's fighting. Um, and it was. Did you know about his origin? His original
um,
comics origin?
not really, no.
So his original comics origin is really interesting because he initially, when he was introduced, when all of this happened, right? He in the original comic, he's remembering different things, right? And then eventually at the end of the comic, like he's like standing on a ledge, and then all of a sudden he walks off the edge and he's flying, right? And he's just like, I am the Sentry. So what that is that the Sentry Bob was retconned. It's this weird like meta retconning thing that they did where Bob the Sentry is technically an original Marvel hero. So they retconned it into their continuity that this guy existed before pretty much everybody else. The Sentry in the Marvel comics is supposed to be the original hero that inspires everybody. So, like Spider-Man look up to him. The Fantastic Four became a team and came back from space around the same time that he came up as a superhero. Like, everybody knew the Sentry, essentially, right? And the other half of the Sentry is known as the Void, who, excuse me, is this other all-powerful entity that kind of just wants to kill everything. So, everybody noticed that whenever the Sentry is in a place, the Void is not far behind, and eventually Bob himself figured out that the Sentry is him. It's another consciousness inside of him. So, working with Reed Richards, they essentially made this device. It's this giant. I'll send you the picture. You can see it in the movie because it's the same type of design that. It's the same type of design that's in the movie, kind of. This is the Sentry's Tower. So, the Sentry's Tower is also retconned to always have been on top of the Baxter Building, which, how could you ever miss that? Just saying. But that tower was created by Reed Richards to erase everybody's memory of the Sentry, including Bob's and himself. So everybody on Earth, when that tower was activated, no longer remembered the Sentry, because they came to the conclusion as long as Bob knew that he was the Sentry or knew that he had powers, the Void would exist, right? As long as Bob knew that he was this, then the Void would come out and kill people. So they did this in lieu of killing him. So because all of them, like I said, they looked up to him. All these heroes looked up to him. They were all his friend. So the best thing that they could do is erase people's memories. So the original run of the Sentry pretty much ends with the fact that he remembers everything. He remembers everything. The Sentry's Tower kind of like becomes his home base and is no longer activating these radio waves, deleting people's memories of him, and it's kind of like he is the biggest, what's the word for someone who, he's the biggest liability in all of the Avengers, because he becomes an Avenger like right after, because they're like, well, we could use you because like you're the Sentry, you're super strong, you're Superman essentially. But he's the biggest liability because if anything happens or he loses consciousness, the Void just takes over and kills half a city block. So, that is the Sentry. That is his origins, essentially. He is the biggest risk factor in all of Marvel Comics, usually, when he's not dead. I did like where they went with him. He seemed more of like a guy who volunteered for an experiment and lucked out. And they didn't go down the whole drug habit route, which they could in the future. That's always a possibility. But the whole him being a forgotten hero and existing in the beginning doesn't exist in the MCU. Probably because it would take 1 million hours of reshooting and a giant budget to clip him into all of those scenes if they were to do like a playback of everything. But yeah, how do you like Bob? Since you're not like super familiar with the Sentry, how did you feel about his character?
I really liked Bob. Bob was a very, very interesting character in this movie. His powers were like, well, most of them were kind of like, surface level superhero stereotypical kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the shadow demons.
Yeah, very. I don't know if that's his power. I don't know if that's an MCU exclusive, but because usually the Sentry is usually the when the Sentry goes away and the Void comes out, he doesn't. He's not just like the Sentry, but colored like he's a giant shadow. Um, the Sentry looks, or the Void looks like some type of demonic monster. The Void looks like a giant. Uh, looks like a monster that came out of the gates. This is the second one that I'm sending you is actually my favorite because this was during Dark Reign. So, uh, because ironically, everybody during Dark Reign was like, we need to go into hiding, and then Ares, who was an Avenger at the time, and the Sentry, who was also an Avenger at the time, were like Ares was like, can I still like fight people? And he was just like, better, you can kill people, and he was just like, I'm in. And then with the Sentry, he was pretty much just like, well, I live here, so I'm not gonna leave. And Norman was just like, you know what? That's cool. Do you want to be my right hand man? And he's just like, yeah, that's cool. Um, so that's Bob. I like Bob. Bob by the end of the movie is a really chill guy, despite the fact that he murdered half of New York, which is never brought up again. Um, so yeah. How did you feel about the team team working after the death of Taskmaster?
Um, they were very, very dysfunctional right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
But like dysfunctional in like a functional way,
Mm-hmm.
where like they all knew what to do. It's just all of them wanted to lead, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. They were all trapped.
And I still hate Walker.
Yeah. Understandable.
My least favorite of the whole thing. I do love that they properly started coming together when we got Alexi in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I love Alexi so much. He's my favorite character from this whole thing. Every time I see him, he makes me happy. Um, um, I am interested to see them work together post this.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think the next time we're going to see them is probably Doomsday.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
But I don't think we're going to see them. I think we're going to still see just the same dysfunctional functionality that we have been so far.
Mm-hmm. Which, honestly, is part of the charm that they all have as team members.
Yeah.
So, did you did you peep the end? Like when did you assume that this was going to be
The Wheaties box?
no? Yes, the Wheaties box. No, I mean, did you when the ending came and they walked through the city and Valentina was there? Did you think like what was your reaction to that?
I was worried that one of them was just going to like
Killer?
actually start like, well, at the very least break a few bones.
Yeah.
Right. But I wasn't expecting her to walk through into a press release. It feels like a awkward version of what would have happened if Peter had actually like, you know, walked through and taken the Iron Spider suit. At the end of Homecoming.
Did you enjoy Mr. Barnes in this movie?
I liked Bucky in this. He had much more of a backseat than I thought he was going to have, and like any of the trailers made it seem like he was going to have.
Mm-hmm.
But Bucky's Uh, Bucky's always fun to have around. I love how like stiff and awkward he was at all times. Um, just like sitting there looking at these government officials thinking, man, I've had to kill people to
This
get
is
stuff
not.
done,
This is not where I belong.
and the only thing that I'm killing right now is time and this eraser at the end of my pencil. Um,
Um, did you think it was necessary that we had so many super soldiers? There was four
no,
super soldiers.
no, there's too many. There's I do like Alexi's question of like, so
Which one did
what
you get?
flavor of serum do you have?
Yeah. He's just like Hydra, and he's like, oh,
Oh, Hydra.
fancy. Yeah,
Fancy stuff. I'm Russian made.
yeah.
I love it.
Alexei should not.
Yelena, you told them about the Thunderbolt?
Yeah, and that's them not being named after Thaddeus is interesting. They're named after a soccer team, which is like
Mm-hmm.
the biggest. Like this all feels like a sequel to Black Widow, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they have so many references to it, and like the idea that like Yelena lived a normal kid's life for how many years while her quote unquote parents were infiltrating the American government and everything.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then she was just kind of forced into this life.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
When the plan never was for her, it was always just for her sister.
Yeah.
This feels like the Yelena movie
Mm-hmm. No,
more
for
than
sure.
anything. And
For sure.
she really needed it. I loved meeting Yelena in Hawkeye. She by far was my favorite character out of the Hawkeye show. And her getting like at least enough resolution to be able to talk to other people and ask for help and know that it's okay is huge. That whole like breakdown that she has in front of Alexei at the end of the movie, about how like she's just so not okay, and she doesn't know what to do with her life and all of that. Man, it was just so human
Mm-hmm.
and so like organic, you know.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed Yelena in this and how much Alexi needed to be here, so she had someone to have that with because no, everybody else felt kind of disjointed with who they knew and what they could be plot relevant with.
Yeah.
So I definitely think Alexi was very much needed in that sense. But also, of course, for the comedic factor. I think a lot of them, like everybody else, kind of took a seat. John had a couple moments. Ghost had an entire movie or part of a movie to really
Yeah.
flesh out. But I hope that we see more of her. Her actress has kind of taken a very like she's well into it and like hanging out with other people in the MCU and everything. So she really likes where Ghost is going, obviously.
I love that they just killed off Taskmaster right at the start of the movie.
If we didn't know it from the trailer, it was pretty obvious which person everybody hated the most. As fans.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Um,
It's a shame because like Taskmaster in like the comics is like
fun.
a
Cool.
a cool character. I'm not gonna say like my favorite or anything because like he's far from it. But like every time that he has popped up in like any media that I have like been involved with, it's been super fun and it makes me happy. But also like and it's kind of true to form with like just how like nonchalant they just kill off the character in this movie. Sorry for any Taskmaster fans, but
Yeah.
but like he's just kind of a goofy character. He's never been like the idea of him and like what he could do is cool, interesting, and intimidating. Um, but then a lot of the time he gets like taken out by some kind of like I don't know, some kind of like weird cartoony feeling like way.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time
And Deadpool
there's
walks
just
in the
like some
room.
kind of like weird slip up. Yeah, Deadpool walking into the room like
He's like,
that.
"Oh no!"
That was like one of the first times that like an interaction between Deadpool and Taskmaster was one of my first like introductions to the character and like him explaining his abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Um and like and be like, "Oh, I could copy anything you do. I can read you like a book." And then Deadpool just starts like cha-cha dancing or whatever and then like kicks the crap out of him while he's dancing. And that that just sums up Dead Taskmaster as a whole to me, where you can't beat him through conventional means, so why not like do practical jokes, and then he'll probably just be weirded out enough to either like lose or leave. Um,
Lose or leave. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I feel the same way. I hope that maybe one day we get like because apparently the idea is that eventually after Doomsday they're going to reset the universe, recast everybody. I hope we get a proper Taskmaster. I hope that was a good. I hope that was a good trial run. You know, everybody that was involved got to see what not to do. But try again better next time. You know what I mean?
So he does have potential, but also, he's just kind of like a good. I mean, the guy's wearing a skull mask for like, like Christ's sake. A lot of the time, sometimes you can't even tell if it's a mask in like the comics because like the
Or
mouth
it's his
actually moves,
face.
and you're like, is this his face? Is this a helmet? I don't know. Um,
Yeah. No. Completely.
what is the extent of him being able to copy things? There's a great like bit. There's this channel on YouTube called Solid JJ
Mm-hmm.
that makes great shorts that are like jabs at like classic comics or like the weirdness inside of like DC and Marvel, but does them through like still shots of like of like the 60s and 70s cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Taskmaster for one of them, and Taskmaster was dealing with the Fantastic Four, and like Mr. Fantastic starts like swinging his arm around, and like Taskmaster's looking at him, and then he just like breaks his hand and starts like spinning it like a nunchuck while crying in pain. Johnny just looks at him, sets himself on fire, and then they have to like pry the gasoline canister out of Taskmaster's hand as he's trying to pour it on himself.
What the heck?
I would like to see a serious Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. I agree with you. Uh, just because of how much, like how much he's normally hyped up. You know, people see Taskmaster and like and also like his character himself. Like sometimes Taskmaster is a double agent. Sometimes he's an agent of Shield that just kind of went so deep into his mission that like Fury has to say a code word and he's just like, "Oh my god, what have I been doing?"
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I hope we get more. I hope we get more of him. Um, for sure. Uh, did you think this movie was missing anything?
Um, I don't really I don't really know. I don't know if it necessarily was missing anything. I feel like the ending where they had the title of the new Avengers thrust on them.
Mm-hmm.
Like sure it gave them like a reason to like move into the tower and have access to it because Valentina bought it and whatnot.
Yeah.
And not that like I desperately want like to see Valentina again or anything or have a reason to.
Yeah.
Because now we truly don't really have a reason to ever see Valentina again,
Very true. Very
right?
true.
Um, I don't know if they necessarily needed the new Avengers title thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I might have enjoyed it better if they had just stuck with the whole thing of being the Thunderbolts, and then like, you know, them bringing Valentina to justice lets them have that in to be able to like move into the tower or something like that and interact. Because like the like talk that like that Bucky and Yelena had at the end, in like the the post credits scene where like they offhandedly brought up Sam and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, sure, of course Sam would have an issue with it. I'm surprised Bucky doesn't have an issue with it, frankly.
It feels kind of
Like,
odd that
it
Bucky
feels
is
like
on the
Bucky
team.
would have like spoken up. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
does feel weird that Bucky's on the team, but it feels like Bucky would have like would have or should have like spoken up
Actually,
immediately and
guys,
been like,
I'm not a part of this,
no,
guys.
we are not like, or well, I don't think he would have an issue being a part of this group. But I think he would have a much bigger issue with them like being called the new Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because
Sure.
like that is Steve's legacy. Even though
Yes.
like Steve
Very
didn't
true.
like necessarily like make the thing, let's be real, he
Here's the thing.
was the Avengers.
Yeah. No. I completely agree with that. It feels like some parts of this, like some characters and parts of this, don't like feel out of character, and it feels like it's just Bucky. Like some people, it feels kind of weird that like how happy to see them or to not see them in like a non-negative emotion. Um, but Bucky felt very. It felt weird. It didn't feel exactly like it should have. When it came to his reaction to all of it in general, because this is a Bucky that was a politician. This was a Bucky that was in like the limelight of politics post Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier after Sam became Captain America. So for
Yeah.
him to not see why this is wrong, especially the possible manipulation of Valentina herself, makes me question if this is like too out of character for him. But we have yet to see the true ramifications of this whole series of events. Um,
It's true.
hopefully,
I
hopefully we'll get more. I mean, Doomsday is the next movie, so or is it?
Yeah, and
Or
that's
is it
the thing.
Spider-Man?
Like,
I'm not sure.
uh, well, I'm pretty sure Spider-Man is the next movie, and then it's followed up by Doomsday.
Okay.
Um, although I'm not too sure on that because I know that Doomsday has wrapped filming.
And Spider-Man is still in the middle of filming.
Spider-Man's in the middle of filming, and there's a chance that like Spider-Man's just not in Doomsday.
Yeah, yeah. That is also a big. That is also a big thing.
I have a feeling that like that there is like, you know, that there are plenty of people. Okay, so Doomsday comes out like half a year after. Doomsday's in December, Brand New Day's in July. But I have a feeling there's like plenty of people inside of Doomsday that we just don't know at this point, right? It would be bad and wrong of them to have like told us everyone, especially since they've already told us so much.
True.
And it would be frankly disappointing if there weren't more. But especially like with this leading up to Secret Wars and how big and important and just everything Secret Wars has to be, because like while like the whole like, you know, Infinity Stone saga and everything was big and important for the MCU as a whole, and Infinity War and Endgame were like the big thing, none of those have the gravitas that Secret Wars has. This is building up to have to be like one of, if not the most important comic book movie of all time.
Yes.
Um,
Because they have to up Endgame. They have to one up Endgame.
they have to one up Endgame, but also like everything about Secret Wars was huge when it was coming out in comics. And you know, it's just everything. Like, but I have concerns for Sentry post this movie. I like where it ended with him. I like his whole character arc throughout this whole thing. And the resolution that Bob had at the end, and whatnot, and him basically being embraced by this new family, that he's got. Or at least this new support group. I really hope we have like a moment at some point in Doomsday akin to how we had with Tony and Nebula doing the little table football thing between, like, some kind of thing like that between Alexi, Walker, and Bob, and all of them somehow doing some kind of like weird like bonding thing together. I would enjoy that.
That would be cool to see.
I am worried that because of the fact that the next time we have to see the Sentry is Doomsday, and that they left it off of, I can't use my powers because of the other guy, that they're just gonna like force him to have to like use his powers in the movie, for some reason, and either somehow he's just gonna have control of it, and be like, oh, whoa, this is weird, or like, you know, it's just gonna be, I guess I have to do something, and then boom, all of a sudden he just has no control, and he's just a bad guy again for some reason. I can't see a happy middle where like he doesn't really have control, but he's doing the best that he can, and like able for him to grow further from there, or descend from there. I just see these potential skyrocket or plummet points.
Yeah. No. It's hard.
It just doesn't feel like there's enough room, you know? Because there's so much they have to pack into these things. It's one of the reasons why I love when they do these as TV shows, because there's so much room to breathe.
Yeah, no, I agree. It feels... it's hard for for the Sentry to exist when this team, or when the future of the MCU is so... It's already so big, like you said, but also he is a lot. He is a godlike being beyond even what, like, probably in the realms of Thor, right? So how do we take this guy who is on a street level team that can do crazy things, like, without him dying within the first 5 seconds, to scale things out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or being launched off into space somewhere, or being a part of the B team plot, or something where he's not the main event, and eventually when they go see the big bad guy, he just helps wipe him out. So
yeah, I'm also like, and like, it's not just like the Sentry that I'm worried about too, albeit like, you know, this is about Thunderbolts and everything, but like, we're getting so close to Doomsday happening and Secret Wars happening, because Secret Wars is slated for literally a year later, right?
Yeah.
I don't, and like, we've been told they are going to do some kind of reset after that.
Yes.
Which is much needed. I won't disagree with that fact. A reset would feel great. But while there doesn't feel like there's like much room to be able to actually like breathe and grow with like Sentry or potentially like some other characters too, I'm also worried that like no one outside of the people that we know that are getting another movie before Secret Wars has room to be able to do anything. Especially like some of these like things that we've been waiting for a while.
Oh,
like
you mean like us finally getting something out of the post credits that haven't been...
Yeah, like, or like, like, we've been waiting for like Moon Knight season 2 to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that going to happen with the current character and like, or like characters that have
Yeah.
been set up here
Like we don't
before this reset?
we
And is
can't
it going to feel
have
good?
we can't have 7 movies that are in the same place as
Yeah.
Quantumanium that just
I
happen
really
to
like
be.
this team.
Mm-hmm.
I really like all of the almost all. I keep looking at Walker. Almost all of the people here. And I do like all of their dynamics with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And Walker's included in that mostly because everyone is like, hey, it's great to see you. Hey, it's great to see you. Hey, it's great to see you. I hate you.
You're awesome. You're awesome. You're in the way.
A jackass. Yeah, but like we've been introduced to this great group that does have very fun synergy. And in 2 years and 3 months, they're gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't know what like post Secret Wars is going to look like. We don't know what what post reset's going to look like, and if it's going to branch off and become something like how the comics are, where like we have like a main timeline, but we also have these like, Elseworld variations of things too, where like current stuff that is here we could continue with. Although I kind of doubt that we're going to see that. While DC's managed to have that work out, that's because they've set their own precedent now where, like, we're going to have this stuff that doesn't necessarily have a central canon to each other and don't have to be interconnected. Whereas Marvel has constantly reasserted itself outside of things where it's animated, that all of this has to be touching each other at all times.
Pause. Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true. That is one of my biggest gripes when it comes to the MCU in general. So hopefully, we can get this. Hopefully, it can change, because I do have a lot of similar gripes to you when it comes to how they've gone so big, and it's so hard for them to shrink. We've talked about this before. That everything just feels like it has to meet that expectation of Endgame, when in reality, when everything post Endgame was starting out, it had so much potential. Like, so many street level people, so many shows, everything felt like it was fine. But it almost feels weird that, like, we're at this point with Endgame, like, or not Endgame, with Doomsday being around the corner, because, like, where has the time gone? It feels like it feels like nothing. There's been so much in between these movies, but it also feels like nothing has happened at the same time. Like,
well, yeah, and like that makes sense too, because like while everything like quote unquote, everything, because like for a good chunk of the MCU, right at the start, it wasn't until Guardians of the Galaxy that they wanted to start doing this like push towards Thanos kind of thing. But then after that point, they fleshed out that idea and had things start connecting and draw a line and like converge into a point.
Yeah. Very true. Yes.
And unfortunately for this, we had a thing that they were going to do, and then Kang the domestic abuser had to do something. That caused them to have to completely change directory. But even then, it felt like right off the bat they like had these things, and then they were immediately pointing at something instead of rebuilding and then having it work together and converge. But now we're at this point with Thunderbolts where this feels like something that is building something and kind of points at one thing, but it's definitely not a center point. This is just the next like direction we're going with, like, Fantastic Four being shown off at the end.
Yeah.
And this is what I would have like if this came out. Can you imagine if like this kind of thing came out right like
Yes.
a year after
Mm-hmm.
Endgame?
It would have been
This would have
completely.
been incredible.
Yes, it would have been.
And
It
then
would have been a completely different atmosphere that we had for the MCU itself.
yeah, absolutely. Um Instead they just kept shoving Kang down our throats over and over again right at the
Mm-hmm.
start, and then it's just gonna go
Which
nowhere.
is so
Which
funny
is
because apparently, Kevin Feige said even before the scandals with Jonathan Majors, they were apparently going to scrap everything that was related to Kang. And I call bull on that because how do you hype up a man so much that and you spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on like making his character exactly what you want it to be, just to say, "Oh yeah, we're not doing that anymore."
yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. I'm glad that they did it though, because like I wasn't the biggest fan of Kang
Mm-hmm.
and like where it was going anyway. This is like way more interesting and way more fun. Uh, it's just I'm worried that it's going to be kind of a wet noodle right off the bat. I hope that I'm wrong, and I'm going to believe that I can be wrong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like it's going to be like really messy right at the start of Doomsday, and then I have some faith that they are going that what it's the Russo brothers, right? They'll fix it. Um,
Hopefully.
but like at the very least for this movie, where we have just like nice street level stuff, and then especially for Spider-Man, having been their original script got scrapped, and they're they just decided to redo it as a street level Spider-Man thing,
Mm-hmm.
and Tom has apparently been like fighting tooth and nail and like looking at like a lot of recommendations that like the online community has had. He's done a lot of like reading of like source material and giving tons of recommendations, being like, I want these things in because this
Mm-hmm.
character needs to be this right now.
Yeah.
um I just I want more of this. I I don't need my superheroes to constantly be fighting these terrifying cosmic entities that are potentially going to be extinction events for the entire world,
Mm-hmm.
um, or like civilization as a whole across the galaxy. Leave it to Star Wars,
Yeah.
for a bit and do it every now and again. I it's it it's so much more compelling when a superhero is actually saving just like a city or even just like a city block even.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of
And
goes. It kind of goes back to what we were talking about, or what I was saying about like them being relatable. This is like one of the few relatable MCU movies that we have, and they're kind of just taking it. It's like, well, here you go. Are they going to be here later? Probably not. So, yeah, but maybe they'll survive the doomsday. Maybe they
I
won't.
hope so.
Maybe some of them will. I don't know how they're, like you said, I'm not sure how they're really gonna deal with much of this, but hopefully they do it in a way that makes maybe everybody happy. It's just hard to satisfy
I
everybody
need
nowadays.
I need Florence Pugh and David Harbour to at least survive.
Just those two.
I love Alexi and Yelena so much.
They're the only thing that survives the reset. She looks at Natasha and she looks up Black Widow. She's like, Natasha, and it's Jennifer Lawrence or something. She's gonna be like, oh, my sister. So yeah, yeah. I don't have anything else. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good. I think it was. A lot of people disagree with me on this, but I think it was one of the best things to come out of the MCU in a while. Um, if I had to put it, I I put it on this like almost the same playing field as Fantastic Four, and I think you'll understand it when I frame it in the same. If I put it in the frame of mind of like this movie felt like it was like in the whole main MCU, right? Fantastic Four felt good in its own separate universe. How it's going to hold up when it actually, how those characters will hold up when you actually get them in there is going to be different. And it's going to take a lot of good writing and character interactions. But I think this felt great. I miss the street level stuff. I miss these characters feeling like they are people first and not just these giant glorious statues to be worshipped. So yeah. You have any closing thoughts that you'd like to share?
None that I can think of.
Okay. Well, you guys heard it. We enjoyed the movie. It has its ups and downs. I think. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. This movie doesn't have its ups and downs. The MCU has its ups and downs, and this is sadly a part of this giant conglomerate. For better or for worse. So, yeah, you ready? You good to end it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. If you would like to get in contact with us, I am at Lying Mask on Blue Sky.
I'm Vincent Barlow on Blue Sky.
And you can follow us at the Domestic BF Podcast, or Domestic BF Pod on Blue Sky. Thank you, Ultimate Maverick X. Next episode, Vincent, what's the next episode going to be?
We're going to finally talk about the Fantastic Four.
We will finally talk about the Fantastic Four. I forgot whether we didn't talk about the Fantastic Four. We talked about Superman. In my opinion, a better movie. But yeah, thank you guys for listening in, and we'll catch you guys later.
Stay beautiful, everyone.